but all the way from
All
Israel.
that
Please
makeup will do
welcome,
you.
please welcome for our Elul program, and as part of an introduction to personal growth, rebirth, and tshuva, the highly acclaimed international motivating speaker, Devorah Sisso. Devorah, over to you.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you so much, Rabbi. Wow, that was a nice introduction. I didn't see where that was going, but I see. Thank you. All right, so my name is Devorah, and wow, okay, so this, I see the audience here, and I see that people here have lived, thank God, very long lives in comparison to myself. But something just happened, from before I was even born, and this whole life of mine, as I'm getting older and I'm going through it more and more and more, I'm becoming very aware of the things that I was never aware of before. And this story, we're going to see together. We're just going to see how so many different things that we're not so much aware of, and if once you become aware of them, you see them in a pattern in different areas of your life. So it's really, really, thank God, it's an amazing experience. Lots of dark times, lots of painful times, lots of uncertain times, lots of lonely times, lots of times where I was very, very clear that there was no tomorrow for me, kind of thing. And every one of those things that I'm going to tell you about, I'm going to share with you here. I share them with the world because they're so intense and so out there. And when you see how everything connects, and you see the patterns, and you see the Yad Hashem, you see the involvement from heaven, it's kind of amazing. So, with no further ado, here we go. I am the youngest of 4 girls. My parents are Israelis. My parents were born in Israel, bred in Israel. My father is Sephardi, my mother's Ashkenaz, and I am the youngest of 4. When my parents were in their 30s, my father got a phone call from his brother, and my mother got a phone call from her mother, and from her sister, and they said, "Listen, we're in America. America is amazing. You want to move to America? In America, money grows on trees. This is where you want to come." And that's like a very Israeli way of seeing Americans, or Bichlal, anyone that's from outside of Israel. They see them as like a dollar sign, right? Ching, you walk into an Israeli cab, and it's a whole different price for you than it would be for me. So why? Because in Israel, the way it's seen very often by many people is that in America, that's where the money grows on trees. And so my parents packed everything up, and we moved to America when I was 4 years old. We got to JFK 1987 in the dead of winter, and we don't know a word of English. We don't know where we are. We don't know why these people look so different than us. And my parents, right off the boat, not a word of English, we ended up settling in Queens and then moving to Brooklyn. And once we got to Brooklyn, I went to the nearby public school. Now, the way this public school was set up was that, you know what public schools are like. They're big schools, huge schools that take over a whole block. And outside of the public school, right in the back, was a backyard, kind of like where all the kids would go play in the recess. It was a very big courtyard. And the way it worked was that every morning you would come to school, and you would line up in the courtyard with your class, and every class, first grade and second grade and third grade and fourth grade, would make a double file line and put their fingers on their mouth, and we would wait for the teacher to walk around and say, "Okay, fourth grade, go inside. Second grade, go inside." And this was a daily occurrence. I was in this school from pre-1A to kindergarten to first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. I loved my school. I had great friends. It was a great experience. We were in Brooklyn at the time. And one day, out of the blue, really, really out of the blue, I walked into the courtyard. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. I came in with my pink lunchbox, and I remember my three best friends, they were waiting for me in a dugout. Now, in the courtyard, there was a section on the side that was like a dugout there. There was like a fence and like a little bench, and they were waiting there. And my Israeli name is Dorit. So they said, "Hey, Dorit, come over here. We're over here." And I said, "Okay, I'm coming." And I came over, and the craziest thing happened. These friends of mine, who I've been friends with since I'm a little girl in in pre-1A, right? They all of a sudden were talking to me about the fact that I'm Jewish. Now, I don't remember the exact details of the conversation that went on there, but it was something to the effect of Jew, 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 Jew. And now these girls were in my house. We went to the movies together. My parents drove them to school. We were very connected. We lived in the same neighborhood. And all of a sudden, I was Jewish. All these years, I wasn't Jewish. When they were eating pepperoni pizza, I was eating pepperoni pizza. When they were eating shrimp, I was eating shrimp. There was never a problem with me being a part of them. And all of a sudden, I was a Jew. And I was selected. And before I knew it, two of them held my hand, legs together. One of them had my arms. She put them behind my back. She held them together tightly. They took potato chip bags from the garbage cans, soda cans, empty soda cans, just garbage that was laying around the courtyard. They took it. They picked it up from the ground and they started shoving it into my mouth and into my shirt. And then they shoved me down on the floor. When they pushed me down on the floor, I opened up. I just opened up a gash here, and I have it till today, and I call it my Jew scar. And then when the whole thing was over, I went up to the teacher. I was dirty. I had stuff in my hair. I was bloody from my elbow. I was pulling things out of me like garbage from me. And I went up to my teacher. I'll never forget this. I remember this so clearly. She was standing there. She was watching all the kids in the courtyard. She was looking straight ahead. And I walked up to her and I was crying and I was scared and I was pretty traumatized from the whole experience because okay, listen, Jewish wasn't a thing in my house. We spoke Hebrew. We ate sunflower seeds. We said, okay, tov. You know how Israelis use in every part of their sentences. We had mezuzos on our door. And that's basically it. That was the extent of our Judaism, right? Growing up. I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know anything about anything. Like my parents would get, non-kosher food and all of it. We didn't have Shabbos or Kiddush or anything like that. And so all of a sudden I'm being beat up because I'm Jewish and I'm bleeding because I'm Jewish. And it was just really, really hard to deal with that. And I went home and I remember so I walked up to this teacher and this teacher said to me, I remember she didn't even look down at me because I was talking to her and I was crying and I was showing her my elbow and she didn't look down at me. She just looked straight ahead and she said, just go wash yourself off. And I remember looking at her and thinking, just go wash yourself off? Like, what? I just left. I walked home. I never walked home by myself in that neighborhood. It was not a safe neighborhood. The whole way home, I'm thinking, how can they do that to me? They're my best friends. How could they do that to me? How could they do that to me? Why is this happening to me? This is the worst thing in the world. Why is this happening to me? That was my last day in that school. I never went back to PS 346 after that day. I went for, all right, I'll give you the full length version. I went for an interview in a Jewish school. And the interview went something like this. The principal sits down with me and my mother. And my mother is convinced that I'm not getting in. She's convinced I'm not getting in because I'm in fourth grade already. This is a yeshiva. In America, in yeshiva, you have to know Aleph Beis, you have to know how to read and write in Hebrew, you have to know how to pray, you have to know how to do basic things. And I knew how to speak the language fluently, but I didn't know Aleph from Beis. And I didn't know how to write. And I was in fourth grade, and I was a little bit of a heavy burden for yeshiva. So my mother didn't think I was going to get it in the middle of the year. And I was confident that I was going to get it on my good looks. So I went in for the interview. The principal is sitting there, and she is concerned. Let's just say that, okay? She's concerned looking at this public school Israeli kid that is coming to her after a really bad beat up situation. So she's sitting there and she's asking me, so tell me, I see, I'm looking at your records, I see, tell me, can you read this paragraph for me? So I said, sure. So she gives me a book. And the book is in English, and I was meant to read it. So I read it. I started reading it. Now, I had a very thick Israeli accent at the time because I'm living in an Israeli home. Everything was in Hebrew. My parents used to drive an hour to buy like Garinim and like Pinuk shampoo and those kind of things. So I'm uh, I'm reading from the book, and it said like this. And the girl went to the store, and she tell her mother she will bring home some milk. So she says, okay, okay, good, good. So let me ask you. I want to have you know what? Let's just put away the literature for now. Let me ask you. Tell me, what's the difference between Purim and Halloween? So I said the difference between Purim and I know the difference between Purim and okay. So the difference between Purim, and I'm super proud of myself at the time. Um, the difference between Purim and Halloween is that on Halloween we trick and treat, and on Purim we only treat. And she says, mm, uh-huh, okay, that sounds good. She says, okay, so tell me, what do we do on Yom Kippur? Right, that's an easy one. And in my family, at the time I was in fourth grade, I was not fasting. I didn't really know anyone else was fasting, if the people were fasting. In my family, it was kind of like no TV, no radio day. They would buy tons of newspapers and magazines, and people would come over, and everybody would sit on the couch and just talk and read the newspaper and sleep. Like that was kind of what I saw as a kid. And so I basically told her that Yom Kippur is a family bonding day. So she was a little less than impressed. She looked at my mother. My mother looked away. And that was the end of that. We left. We went home, and we get a phone call later that night. The phone call says that there is no room for me. They're so sorry. They will get in touch with me if anything changes, but right now there is no room. And I was shocked. I was shocked. But my mother wasn't so shocked. And then the next day, we went to this other school. We went to this, then we knew Jewish to be Jewish to be Jewish, only to later be informed that there are different kinds of Jewish uh, places and followings and circles. So we were going to a conservadox kind of a school, thinking it was like, just Jewish, Israeli, that's what we were looking for. We get there, it's a beautiful, stunning school. It's huge, it's like a mansion. They have a pool. The kids are arm in arm. Everyone is just like so. It's like picket fence, like out of the movies, like stunning, gorgeous, marble chandeliers, really beautiful. We walk in, me and my mother. We're just not sure if we're in the right place, who we have to talk to. The rabbi walks up to my mother. He grabs her hand. He shakes it. He says, "Is this your daughter? So cute. She is so cute." He pinches my cheeks. And he says, "Come tomorrow morning. You are welcome in my school." I was like, wow, that was easy. No questions? Great. So there I was on my way to this beautiful fancy schmancy school, and very excited about it. Super excited that I didn't get into the other school, because the other school was more of like one of these, like, I didn't know to use these terms then, but it was like an Orthodox school that didn't have government funding, and that like every time you walked in and the door would close behind you, a little bit of the ceiling would fall on your head, kind of thing. So it wasn't like chandeliers, swimming pools, saunas. It wasn't like that. It was the opposite of that. So I was so happy it turned out that way. And then that night, I overhear my parents in the kitchen. Now remember, my parents are immigrants, and my parents are roughing it out in New York. They don't know what they got themselves into. They thought the trees with the money were there. They couldn't find any. They were trying to get through the days. They imagine landing in China and looking for the post office. How do you start? Where do you go? Right? This was back in the day. There was no internet then, so they had a really hard time. And I hear my father telling my mother, "Listen, if Devorah goes to this school, then it's about 45-minute drive from our house, and that would mean that I have to give up one of my jobs, because I have to drive her, and then I have to go to my job, and then I have to pick her up, and then I have to bring her back, and then I have to go to my other job. I'm not going to be able to make it. It's just not going to work. So we have to give up something." And they were having that conversation, and I was feeling really bad about it. I was feeling really bad about it, because PS 346 was around the corner from my house, and no one had to take me. I would walk. with my older sister. And all of a sudden, the phone rings. The phone rings, and it's Yeshiva Ritzad. Yeshiva Ritzad is that first school with the ceiling on your head, that one. So they call me. The one that told me that there's no room for me, they call me. Hi, the secretary says, hi, 1 second, 1 second. What? You're going out for coffee? Wait for me, 1 second. She comes back. Hi, this is Yeshiva, 1 second. What? She's moving to Long Island? Meanwhile, I pick up the phone in my house because my parents don't speak English. So everything goes through me. I'm the translator. So who is this? Who is this? This is Yeshiva Ritzad calling. We're just calling to let you know that a girl in 4th grade we just got, her parents just called us. We got a message that they are moving to Long Island tomorrow. And they just notified the school today. And therefore, you can come tomorrow morning. We have room for you. Bye. And I said, bye. Oh. And now I'm feeling terrible because I heard about this conversation. I heard this conversation with my parents in the kitchen with my father having to give up work. And then these people call me, and they're right around the corner from my house. But I don't want to go to this school because it's like, it's all girls. And it's like dirty and it's small and there's no pool. So I'm kind of caught in the middle. My parents don't know anything about this conversation. And I decide to go into the kitchen and tell them that, don't worry, Abba, you don't have to worry about giving up your job. I got accepted to the school. It's around the corner from here. I'm just going to go there. I don't have to go to the fancy one an hour away. It's all good. Great. It's the first day in school. First day, 4th grade, middle of the year. Someone miscommunicated with somebody because I ended up in a regular class with all of the students there knowing how to write and read in Hebrew fluently. They knew how to read Rashi. They knew what Chumash was and Navi was and Jewish history was when I never even heard of these words, nor was I able to pronounce them. So there I am in 4th grade, sitting there in the first row, the first seat, in the first row. The teacher is right above me. And the anxiety, I can't even tell you the anxiety, the pain in my heart of having the teacher speaking right over me. And she's talking to them about the mun, and she's talking to them about paraduma, and she's talking to them about Mitzrayim, and she's talking, and I'm not, no concept of what's being said. I don't understand what's on the board. And all I keep thinking is, how do I make sure she doesn't call on me? I'm praying to God that I'm not made a fool in front of all of these kids. It's my first day. I need to have a reputation. I need to be the cool kid. I have nothing else going for me at this moment. And that's all I'm praying. I'm praying that she doesn't see me. So I did something that we do sometimes, which is, sometimes when you walk down the street and you see someone that you know, but you just don't want to talk to them right now. You all know what I'm saying, okay? Don't look at me like I'm the only one. So what you do is when you don't want to speak to someone, you just look away and make believe that you're window shopping on the other side of the street, and then you keep walking and make sure that they don't see you. So that's what I did. I did that for 3 hours. I dodged the teacher's eyes for everything. I just had to make sure she doesn't see me and she doesn't look at me, or that I don't see her and look at her, because if we meet, she will look at me and she'll say, oh, why don't you answer the next question, or why don't you read the next paragraph? And that wasn't an option. So I decided to clean my desk for Pesach. And this desk was from 1974, and it had gum stuck on it from the 1964, and it was a very, very exciting morning of cleaning my desk and pulling out all the old gum from ages ago and doing everything in my power just not to look at her. And she didn't call on me. 3.5 hours of cleaning. And she didn't call on me once. And thank God, the food walks in. The guy with the tray and the food, he walks in, he puts it down on her desk. It's lunchtime. I know how to eat. I might not know how to do everything else in this crazy school, but I know how to eat. So she dishes out the lunch. And that day there was chicken and rice and salad, coleslaw, and corn and juice and bread. Okay, I remember the lunch this day because it was a very important lunch. I'll tell you why. So she puts it in front of me because I'm the first girl in the first aisle. So she dishes it out and she puts it in front of me. And what do you do when someone gives you food? You eat it, right? Right? You eat it? So that's what I did. I ate it. I started eating, and because of all of my anxiety and my internal pressure from this whole morning with this school, with everyone speaking in Hebrew and doing all of these things that's the thing. It didn't sound like Hebrew though. It didn't sound like the Hebrew that I knew. It sounded like a different kind of Hebrew because they were saying Shabbos and not Shabbat, and I didn't know what Shabbos was. What Shabbos? I never heard of that before. And every other word that they were saying sounded like that. And I didn't know what that was. So it took me a long time to learn that new Hebrew language. I'm eating and eating and eating and eating and eating because I'm so nervous and I just need to eat and I'm just needing to do this. And my face is in the plate. It's in the plate. It's in the chicken. Okay. And all of a sudden there is this deafening silence, really a terrible silence. And I lift my head from the plate and I look at her and she says, "Young lady." I said, "Oh no." I knew from my days in public school, whenever anyone calls out your name or says young lady or you know you're in trouble, all you say is sorry. You just keep saying I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. You just do that, okay? You don't have to know why. Doesn't matter. You just say you're sorry and never do it again. Okay, got it. Fourth grade. Okay, just let's remember we're in fourth grader mind here. So she says, "Young lady, in this school, in my class, you will never do that again." And I'm thinking, never do what again? But I say, "I'm so sorry. You're right. I'm never going to do that again." And she says, "Really? Really?" I said, "I know. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm sorry." And she says, "We wash. We wash. Okay? We wash." I said, "Of course. Of course we wash. We wash. We wash. We wash." And she said, "Okay, so you'll never do it again?" And I said, "Never." And I have no idea what we're talking about. What are we washing? Who's washing what? What am I never going to do it again? What am I not ever going to do? Eat? I'll never eat again. I don't know what I'm never doing again, but we were in agreement, and I went out to the bathroom. It's row number 1. Everyone's running to the bathroom, and for the first time in my life, I am introduced to the overgrown cup made out of plastic, usually gray or white with the 2 handles on the side. Most of the time it has some mold on the bottom of it. You know what I'm talking about? That kind. So they're all using this cup. And I'm standing on the side watching what's going on, seeing like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I supposed to do here? So they take the cup and they fill it up and they're splashing and splashing and splashing. And then they say the bracha and their veins are popping out of their necks and they're just like, Baruch. And I don't know what they're really saying, but they're into it. And then they run back to the classroom and row number 2 comes. And I'm standing there the whole time. Row number 2, they're washing and washing. After row number 2 leaves, I think I got it. Okay. So I walk up to this cup and I look at it and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. Okay. So I take some soap and I'm soaping my hands and I'm washing them like a normal human being. If we're going to wash, let's do it right. Okay. And I'm washing my hands with soap and I walk out of the bathroom. And as I walk out of the bathroom, something really crazy happened. This girl is standing there. I've never seen her before. She knows that I'm new. She knows I'm from public school. She probably knows I don't know anything. So I said hi to her when I came out of the bathroom. And she says to me, no, 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 no. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, why is this woman barking at me? Why is she barking? She's barking. Now, I don't know if you're very familiar with the fact that some of us, after we wash our hands for bread, we can't speak, right? And a lot of times, oftentimes, people fall into these barking things where they go, no, 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 new, and it's normal because everyone does it, so everyone thinks it's normal. Well, when you've never had anyone bark at you before, this is a very exciting first experience. And I'm standing there, I'm just staring at her blankly, thinking, what is she trying to say to me? Why is she barking? And she's pointing with her finger, go wash again, go wash again. She's showing me, hand motioning to me that I should go wash again. So I go back and I wash my hands again with the cup, and I walk out and I'm like, zipping it, not talking. And she's all so proud of me. We walk back into the classroom and everyone grabs their bread, their slice of little white bread for dear life. And the teacher's standing in front of the classroom and she says, and they go, Baruch HaMotzi Lechem. And I'm just staring. Everyone, and I know this is a cult. I'm on to them. That's how I felt. I felt like I'm on to what's going on in this school. This place is a cult. I get it. I know what's going on here. I'm going to report you. And I'm happy I came because at least I'm doing something good for the world. And she dismisses us for recess. And I go out and the whole class comes around and everyone's curious about me and wants to know who I am and where I'm from. And I said I'm from PS 346 and I'm also from Israel and I was beat up. And she says, and they all say to me, oh my gosh, you're so cool. You're also Israeli and also from public school. And you were also beat up because you were Jewish. Wow, you are so cool. I said, yeah, kind of cool. And they said, so what do they play in public school? What do you guys play there? And I said, we play something really, really complicated. It's called Girls Catch Boys. Basically, you have the girls' team and a boys' team. Now, every girl is assigned to one boy that she has to catch. Okay? And they were like, wow, it's amazing. I said, okay, let's go. We're going to do it. So you're assigned to him, and he's assigned to her, and I got the fastest one because I wanted to show off, make sure everybody knew that I was the fastest, make sure everybody knew that I was a tomboy, make sure everybody knew that, that I was the new girl in school. So I said, who's the fastest kid? They said, this guy, he's like Terminator. I'm on him. Evan. I was on Evan. Anyway, on your mark, get ready, get set, go. All the girls are running after the boys. The girls have been in yeshiva for too long. They're like, oh, Maishi, you're so fast. I can't beat you. I just cannot catch you. You are so strong. Right? I was coming out of public school, so I was just like, Evan, where are you at, Evan? And I grabbed Evan, I threw him down on the floor, I put my foot on him, and I said, I got him. And at that point, I turned around, and I saw my entire class standing stiff against the wall like this. And one of my friends, who's still a good friend of mine until today, she points like that to me. So I'm looking at my friends against the wall, and I'm thinking, why are they lined up against the wall? And this teacher, who was a very, 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 very scary British woman that was working in this school. And she had a dark, short hair, dark, beady eyes. She was short, she was big, and she was scary, very scary. And when I turned around to look at her, she looked at me and she went like this. Yeah, this is all my first day. These are like my first hours, okay? This is just the sugar on top of things. So I walk up to her and I'm thinking like, okay, the whole class is staring at me. Everyone's looking. This is gonna either make me or break me. You know, I have to make sure I don't cave, okay? I have to make sure I don't get weak. So I am walking up toward the teacher and she says to me, "You're new here?" And I said, I don't know how to put on a British accent. I'm sorry. I tried so many times. I could try. Are you new here? Is that terrible? I was speaking to a bad, like, yeah, was that good? And I said, but she didn't sound so nice though when she said it. So she sounded like this to me in my ears. Girlfriend, where's your skirt? And I said, my what? And she said, skirt? Do you know where you are? This is a yeshiva. Why are you dressed like that? Where's your skirt? I was highly offended, okay? Because I was wearing a skirt. just that morning, my mother was in a rush and she said, Devorah, just go put on some skirt. You have to wear a skirt and you have to wear a long sleeve shirt. Okay, skirt and a long sleeve shirt. I don't know. It's like May. It's like hot outside. It's not cold outside. And I'm thinking, I don't have any long sleeve shirt that I can wear. I have sweaters. I have sweatshirts. Okay, long sleeve shirt. Fine. Wait, let's look at the skirts. I'm looking in my closet. I open up my closet. I have tank tops. I have my jeans. I have my mini skirts, and I don't have any skirts, like long skirts. So I'm like, okay, I guess I could wear a mini skirt, a skirt. So I take out my mini skirt. It's like the whole thing is like yay big, the whole mini skirt. It's like a belt. It's more like a belt. And I put on this hot orange. Okay, it's hot orange. And I put it on, and then I'm thinking, okay, long sleeve shirt. Okay, I don't have any long sleeve shirt I can wear in the summer. So let me just go see what my father has, because he probably has like a nice shirt, that I can wear with long sleeves. So I go to my father's closet and I pull out a Fruit of the Loom extra large, short sleeve for him, but it was way over my elbow for me. And it was a V-neck down to here. And I'm going to school with my sandals. So the t-shirt, it covered my skirt, obviously, because my skirt's a belt. And so it covers the skirt. And all this teacher sees is this t-shirt and legs and sandals running after boys and smashing them down on the floor and stepping on them. That's all I knew. It's not my fault. So she says to me, where's your skirt? And I said, my skirt is here. And she said, I don't see it. And I said, I'm wearing it. And she said, I don't see it. And I said, that's just because I'm wearing it. So she said, oh, listen to me. There's a bag in the principal's office. And in that bag are skirts, old ones, that have been there from graduating graduates. And they are more than happy for you to take one of those skirts. Now, I didn't have to be Jewish. I didn't have to be observant. I didn't have to be nothing in order to know that those moldy skirts in that principal's office are probably disgusting, long, nasty skirts with mold on them, and that I wasn't going to put on. No way, not on my first day, no way. So I said to her, please don't worry about it. I got it. I got it. You want me to pull down my skirt? She said, yes, pull down that skirt. And I said, you got it. And I started pulling down that skirt. And there's just so much you could do with this much material. And the top of it is elastic. So I'm pulling it down. I'm pulling it down. I'm pulling it down. Pulling it down. And the elastic is just hugging my thighs. And the whole day I'm walking like I guess, Japanese. I don't know. What are they called? I don't know the name. But just imagine taking baby steps all day, just taking tiny little Japanese steps. And that's what I did for the rest of that day. And that was the first day of yeshiva. That was my first time experience with Judaism. Fast forward. We're going to fast forward 3 years. I'm in school every day. I get off the bus. The second I get off the bus, my friends, I pull my uniform. Oh, there was uniform. A week after this whole incident with the belt, they incorporated the uniform skirts and shirts into the dress code, which was nice. So I had what to wear, and I used to wear this uniform skirt to death. And every day when I would get off the bus, the second the bus would stop at my bus stop, I would pull the uniform skirt off. I would have my leggings underneath, my shorts, and I would just run home. 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. I get to 7th grade. I'm pretty familiar. First of all, I know how to write now. I know how to read. I know all the holidays. I know what's happened. I know Jewish history. I know I'm pretty much caught up because of my Hebrew, my skills. I was quick and I could handle it. So I get to 7th grade and we have this teacher. And this teacher was different than every other teacher we've ever had. She was charismatic. She felt like she was super alive, like she really cared about what she was teaching. She lived it. She cried about it. She cried for it. She would not watch us pray in the morning or daven in the morning. She would pray with us. And there was a lot of camaraderie that we felt from her that we didn't ever felt from any other teacher. She would never go into the teacher's room during recess. She always played ball with us outside. And one day she made a Shabbaton. She made a Shabbaton in Flatbush, Brooklyn, and we went away for Shabbos. This is my very first Shabbos seeing Shabbos. I'm in the middle of 7th grade. We go to this family in Flatbush, and I remember thinking, like, is this real? Do these people, like, are they real? Is this real? That's what I remember thinking, like, sitting there and just thinking, is this for real? It felt like out of a storybook. It felt out of a storybook. The husband goes to shul with all the boys. The girls get put on their robes. The mother lights her Shabbos candles. The house smells like bread, freshly made bread. Everything is calm. The table is set for like royalty. There's like this like calm. I don't know, however many of you keep Shabbos, Friday night, there is like this, but it's like deep, 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 like in your liver deep, like inside, behind the liver, inside side deep, like it's deep and quiet deep, like that, right? There's like nothing, no distractions, no phones, there's nothing, and in that nothingness, there's something very unique, very different, feels very different than the regular average day. Even if you're, let's say, not on your TV or not on your phone, there is something different in that Friday night capsule. It's like a capsule of something. So I'm sitting there, this kid from the hood, like my parents moved to the hood, you know, they didn't move to some rich Jewish neighborhood. We lived in Canarsie. We lived in like, all my friends were black. You know what I'm saying? My middle name was like Shakira. Like that's how I grew up. And I'm coming in from the hood, and I'm, you know, pretty untamed. Let's just say that. Not the way I looked, but the way I was inside. And I get to this family's house, and it just seems so out of the books. Like, you know, wow. And all of a sudden, the husband comes home from shul, and he's singing with his son, Shalom Aleichem, and they're singing, and they walk in, and they make kiddush, and just the atmosphere and the ambiance and everything was just like, wow. And me and my two friends were like, we didn't know how to like sit with these people because they seemed like they were so different than us. But at the same time, there was such a niceness, such a kindness, such a softness, such a they were curious, they were interested in us, you know, what we're interested in, and um, who we are. And it was honest, it was real, it was honest. It wasn't just like to get us to buy something or anything like that, you know. And I remember after Shabbos walking into my parents' house. I can't even tell you how many times over the course of Shabbos I had full body chills, and I didn't know why. I didn't know why I was feeling. I remember hearing them sing, and all of a sudden I would have the chills. I would see like people going to shul Friday Shabbos morning. I would get the chills. I would be in shul Shabbos morning. That's that one Shabbos. In shul, I would see them taking the Sefer Torah out of thing. Chills. Now I never saw any of these things. I've never seen any of these things. I'm already almost 12 years old, or maybe 12 years old at the time already. No, I was almost 12 years old. I was like 11 years old. And this is my first exposure to any of this. So when they pick up the Torah and they turn it around, it's like, what are they doing? What is going on? And this is my heritage. This is where I come from. It was very, very cool. In the beginning, it was really cool. And then after the Shabbos, I came home, and my parents were sitting in the living room watching TV, you know, same old, same old. And I walk in, they're watching the screen, and I walk past them. I say, hey guys, Shavua Tov. And I walk to my room, and I decide to adopt this new lifestyle. Why not? I felt so at home. It felt home. It felt like I've arrived somewhere. And I didn't know to call it anything because I wasn't anything yet, okay? And so I got home and I decided that they don't dress the way I dress, and I don't want to dress the way I dress. I want to dress how they dress. That's what I had in my head. Not because anybody told me about modesty or because I know, I just had in my head, like, I like the fact that they look a certain way, because when I used to go to them for Shabbos, it was like, they look like royalty. They had these like beautiful dresses on, and in the winter they used to buy these Shabbos coats. And I remember thinking like they look like royalty, like princess, like princesses. Like that's how I felt like they looked, and they there was just like a certain presence that I liked. So I went home and I opened that beautiful closet again, and we had just gone shopping that Thursday for jeans. I took out all my jeans and all my tank tops and all my mini skirts, and I took them all out, and I walked into the kitchen, past my parents in the living room. They're watching a show, and I'm like, hey guys, good show. And the garbage bag was clean, And I just threw everything into the garbage bag. And my parents hear a loud thump. And they don't say anything. I walk back to my room. I get more stuff out. I'm pulling everything out from the back. I'm getting all the bad stuff that I shouldn't be wearing and shouldn't think. And I get it all in. And I walk back into the kitchen. And my mother is looking at my father. And she's like, Mayosa, what is she doing? And my father is like, And she says, she's throwing away all her clothes. And he says, Because, my father's smart because he understood. He knew. And so she says, this cannot happen. What are you doing? And she gets up and she comes to me and she says, what are you doing? And I said, Ima, I have an announcement to make. And she said, what's your announcement to make, Devorah? I said, my announcement is that I am Haredi. And they said, you're what? What are you now? Haredi. I'm Haredi. Why? Why are you Haredi? Because I am. Because I want to be. And they said, what are you talking about? Like Haredi, like beards, like hats, like wigs, like gefilte fish. What are you saying? And I said, all of it, the whole thing. I want the whole thing. And they said, okay. My father's like, he's telling my mother, she's going through a stage. It's Devorah. You know Devorah. She goes through things. Let her go through this. It's better than being in a cult, he says to her. It's better than being in a cult. Devorah might end up joining a cult. I'm like, I would not join a cult. Anyway, at the end of that night, my mother is taking stuff out of the garbage bag, putting it back in my closet, and I'm arguing, I told you I'm Haredi. I want this stuff out of my closet, and I'm taking it out of my closet, and I'm putting it back in the garbage bag, and she's like, you're not Haredi. You're insane. You're not anything but crazy. And she goes back into the bag. She takes everything out. By the end of the night, everything is back in my closet. Everything is back in my closet. I have no say. And I go to school the next day, and I decide, you know what? From now on, the only skirt that I have that's suitable is my uniform skirt. So I'm going to wear this plaid uniform skirt to death. I'm never going to take it off because I don't have anything else. I only have jeans and mini skirts. I don't have anything else. So I decide to do that. I wore that plaid uniform skirt for about 8 months straight. I had one skirt. No one noticed. No one paid attention. So then, for those months following up, I decided that I want to do this. And I started keeping Shabbat and Tzniut and Kashrut, which is kosher and Shabbos and modesty. And within 6 months, I looked like a Beis Yaakov girl. And I was so dedicated and I was on fire. And my teacher didn't know anything about it. I didn't tell her a word. I didn't say a word to anyone. My parents saw that I was wearing the same skirt every day, but they thought it was just because I went to school every day. They asked me, don't you ever want to take that off? Don't you want to put on some sweatpants, put on some shorts, like you're home, you could, and I didn't. And one day we were in this teacher's class. It was 8th grade. It was in the middle of the year. I was already full force and it was hard. It was not easy for me. I was keeping it a secret also. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't want anyone to tell me, yeah, no, stop, go. Like I didn't need any push from any direction. I was doing it on my own. And she put us into like little groups to do Torah together, Chumash together. And so we were in groups of four. And I remember thinking, and she stepped out. She stepped out of the classroom and she said, all right, girls, I'm stepping out of the classroom. By the time I come in, this assignment needs to be done. And remember, this is the Holy Torah. So let's keep it quiet and work together and really, whatever. She left. The second she left, everyone down in their seats, screaming, talking, this, that. And I was furious. I was so furious. I got up on my seat. On my chair, and I said, friends, guys, and excuse my French, I said, everybody just shut up, we have to work. And as I'm on my second shut up, she walks in. And everyone's like staring at me, and she's staring at me, and I'm standing there and red in the face, telling everyone to be quiet because it's not nice what we're doing to the Torah. And she is looking at me like, are you done? And I said, I'm done. I'm done. And I sit down, and she pulls me out after class. And she says to me, Devorah, I want to tell you something. You know, I've been teaching you a lot about modesty, but modesty is a character trait. It has more to do with your character than it has to do with your clothes. Your clothes are an expression of that internal character trait that we're trying to build up. You have to know that modesty has to do with the way you talk. It has to do with the language that you choose to use. It has to do with the way you walk. It has to do with the way you express yourself, the way you argue. Modesty is really it's a character trait, and it's more than the skirt and the socks. And I felt in that moment that everything that I was holding on to so hard and so tightly, the Shabbos, the kosher, the tznius, that nobody knew about it. And it was also so hard to do it with no one knowing about it. You got to know, my parents would work every single Saturday. So I was in my room because my sisters would watch TV. And I would sit in my room and lock myself in there and just sing Zmira Shabbos, the songs of Shabbos. And I would just sit there for hours on end singing Zmira Shabbos or sleeping or, just kind of like making the day go by. It was really, really, really hard. And I was holding on for dear life. And it felt like I was balancing a book on my head for 25 hours. And then when she said this to me, I felt like all those books that I was balancing on my head, she just toppled. Everything went, and I felt like I'm never going to be good enough. No matter what I do, there's always more. No matter how far I think I come and how much I struggle, there's always another thing that you have to do if you're Jewish. It's like I'm never going to get there because there is no there. It's never ending. And it felt like daunting and scary. And I decided, you know what, I'm done. I'm out. I'm finished. And I did. I stopped doing everything. I stopped keeping Shabbat. I stopped keeping tzniut. I went back to my old wearing clothing. And it was really sad. I was really sad. It was about 3 months of saying to myself, Devorah, you don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need someone to tell you how to live. You don't need someone, right? All of those things. You don't need someone to tell me when to take a day off. I take a day off when I want to take a day off. Don't tell me when to take a day off. And I also know how to take my days off. I know that if I am cooking and I am in the pool and that's the kind of day off I want to take. Don't you come and tell me that I have to eat gefilte fish on Shabbos in order for that to be my day off. I'm not into that kind of day off. I was saying all those things. I'm a Jew at heart. I don't have to look it. I don't have to talk it. I don't have to make blessings. I don't have to do all these things. I'm a good person. Right? Everything that we kind of feel oftentimes when we try to, when we're overwhelmed, or we try to stop, try to make ourselves feel like we're doing the right thing when we're not really so much. And after a while, I decided that it was about 3 months in, and I said, I can't go on like this. I am unhappy this way. I don't care about any of it because I don't care about the rules because the rules liberate me. The rules make me feel like I am alive. The rules make me feel like I am living for something, like there's a greater cause, like I am making a difference in this world. And I am because every single time I stop myself from gossip and not want to take a bite out of that juicy piece of gossip. Every single time I do that, every single time we do that, every single time a person does that, holds themselves back, what the damage, the spiritual damage that our tongues can create in people's lives, the people that we usually love the most, those are the ones that we get the most upset about, those are the ones that we speak about the most, those are the ones that we complain about the most, those are the ones that we gossip about the most, right? The destructive path that our tongue can take when we are frustrated, the people that we love the most, that can really, really, really offend them and hurt them, whether we see it in our lifetime or not see it in our lifetime, it's an exchange of energy that happens that's terrible. And it's the same way when we get together on Zoom from around the world, and we're talking truth, and we're talking connection, and we're talking spirituality, and we're talking inspiration. We're also fixing the world. We're fixing things. We're fixing energetically. We're building spiritual energies in the world, entities in the world. That's what we're doing. It says in Chazal that when a person does a mitzvah in Eretz Israel or in Brooklyn or wherever they are in the world, in Thailand, they're there doing a mitzvah, it has a ripple effect energetically on every single Jew around the world. It has a ripple effect, and it can affect someone specifically so much that they can decide to all of a sudden feel like they have an impulse to do something that they normally wouldn't do, to light Shabbos candles when they never thought of that in their life, or to to have the courage to speak to God honestly and for real for the first time in their lives, right? Or to lend a helping hand to someone when they themselves don't have enough, and to put themselves in a place of belief and faith and knowing that even if I help someone when I don't have enough, I know that I'm going to be taken care of. All of these ideas and all of these realities that we all live in, you know that when you come at someone with a loving heart, you know that you will be reciprocated. We have to be honest with ourselves. Oftentimes we think we're coming out of love, and we're really coming out of hidden agendas that we are so hidden that we ourselves don't know how hidden they are. But often, Chazal say, "Dvarim hayotzim min halev nichnasim el halev." The things that come out of our hearts, they go into another person's heart. So when you know that your words are coming really out of your heart, and they go, or your actions, and they go into another person's heart, you know that you're making a vibrational shift in the world, in that person, in your life, in their life, right? Because by the fact that you're kind, and by the fact that you're giving, and by the fact that you hold yourself back from anger or from complaining or from hurting someone with your words, when we do these things, when we partake in these spiritual actions, and they're all spiritual actions, when we do them, then we feel the effects of them. When you give, you feel it. You feel better when you give. When that homeless guy asks you for some money, and you give him some money, and then you bend down and you say, "I hope you're having a good day. Do you need anything? Are you okay? How's it going? How's the weather? Have a great day, mister. Hope you feel good." When you do that, you walk away feeling different, whether you realize it or not, and you do realize it. You know it. You know it. What happened there? I gave him $1, and all of a sudden I feel better? Yeah. Because beyond the giving of the dollar, there's an exchange of energy. And the energy that you received made you feel better. Why? Because it connected to the parts of you that are spiritual. That's your soul. And when your soul gets heightened, when it expands, you feel more yourself. And when you feel more yourself, it's like a blossom. It's like a flower that's supposed to blossom, and it's shriveled up and it's dying, and then you put some water on it and you put it in the sunlight, and all of a sudden it opens back up again. That's exactly what happens when we are in this dance with these energies, and we know how to make life work, as opposed to thinking life has to work this way. I'm supposed to have enough money. I'm supposed to have my health. I'm supposed to have my children. I'm supposed to have my home. I'm supposed to have my car functioning always in the best way, and everyone in my life functioning always in the best way. And if anything or anyone takes one step out of this script that I have going for me right now, I'm going to be angry. And I have a right to get angry, because things are not working out as I want them to work out. And when you understand, and when we understand that the Torah gives us incredible recipes, like down to really a science, because it's the working of who we are. It's the creator of humanity. He says, here's your manual. I know how to make you work best. Okay? And I know you think working best is sitting on the couch, eating as many bonbons as you want, watching as many TV shows as you want, and not having to work, not having to do anything. But my script is a little different than yours, because you're after pleasure, which is fine, which is where you're supposed to be. But I am after meaning, and I am going to make sure you get meaning in your life, because when you have meaning in your life, you are alive and you are kicking. And no matter what your age is, you feel good. So I'm going to tell you that waking up every single morning and praying or meditating, that's going to give you juice. And no, it's not comfortable for you. And no, you don't feel like doing it. But you know what? When you do it, you're going to get juice. And I'm going to tell you that when you walk out of that synagogue or out of that Dunkin' Donuts in the morning and you see that homeless man, I'm going to tell you to dig into your pocket and do a care and a deed for somebody else, because that will expand you, and that's going to give you more juice. And then I'm going to tell you, right, and that's how the mitzvahs are set up for us. And the whole idea with Shabbat, think about it today. I feel so lucky that I started keeping Shabbat when I was young enough to be trained into it, that I would get to this age and not feel like, oh, I want to break Shabbos. I'm so lucky. I feel so lucky that I started at such a young age, because it's not an easy thing to keep when you haven't kept it your whole life. But something happens to you energetically during those 25 hours when you walk into that capsule, and when you leave, something happens to you there. And that something is expansiveness. Expansiveness. Anyway, 8th grade is over. I go to high school. I go to Beis Yaakov. The principal's interview with me went something like this. If you are wearing a Purim costume and this is fake, because I've seen your parents and they don't look anything like you. My father has tattoos. My mother wears leggings and they both smoke. My mother has blonde hair, red lipstick, both smoke. Well, not anymore. He didn't smoke anymore. But, they look like typical Israeli, couple. And I walked into this principal's office. I look like a Beis Yaakov girl. I like the ultra-Orthodox, super religious Beis Yaakov girl, up with my top button closed. And he says to me, if you're wearing a costume, because it's almost Purim, if you're wearing a costume and this whole thing is fake, I'm going to find out. And then you're going to be out of here. And I said, thanks, Rabbi. Nice to meet you too. No, I didn't say that. I said, no, you have nothing to worry about. I was more religious than majority of the religious girls in his school. And they were all coming from very religious homes. But I was so dedicated at the time. I remember one Shabbos, I was trying to keep Shabbos, and I finally kept it. At home. I did it. I wrote in my journal, I did it. Yes, we did it. And then by accident, I turned on the light. And when I turned on the light, I sat down and I said the entire Sefer Tehillim that night till about 3:30 in the morning that Friday night, because I was so dedicated. I was there. And I walked into class and I loved class. And after it was 10th grade, and I felt like I need more. I need more than what the school is giving me. I need more. The girls were not lit up. The girls were not inspired. They were looking at 17 magazines, all the stuff that I had left behind. They were getting excited by. I was getting excited by the fact that your father has like yeshiva. That was something that excited me. Like, your mother covers her hair. Like, your house smells like bread. Like, that was something that meant something to me. Not 17 magazine and the equivalent of Kim Kardashian today. And so I left that school and I went to another school, and it was amazing. And I did 11th grade and 12th grade. And I'm going to backtrack for a second. I'm going to tell you, in the summer between 8th and 9th grade, 8th and 9th grade, 9th and 10th grade, I was 13 years old. And a few girls walked into my bunkhouse. I had just started becoming religious a few months prior. I went to this all-girls camp upstate New York, and a few girls walk into my bunkhouse and they say, Devorah, we know you have an amazing life story. I'm 13, okay? I don't know how amazing it could be, but you have an amazing life story, and we want you to say it over to a few girls. Can you talk about it tonight? And I said, sure, yeah. Sure. So I sat down on my bed in my bunkhouse and I wrote out my whole life story, and it was my time to go and speak. It was my first time ever doing this. I'm 13 years old. I'm standing on the field, in a huge field, and it's dark. Can't see anything, can't see anyone. Right before I started, someone whispered in my ear, Devorah, there are 300 girls sitting here. So I take my flashlight. And I shine it on my piece of paper. And once I was born in Israel, I moved to New York when I was 4. I have 3 older sisters, and about a minute, maybe a minute and a half in, I threw away the flashlight, I threw away the pieces of paper, and I started telling them my story. And I was in it, very, very in the thick of it then, and I was singing and I was crying, and it went on for about 3 hours, and I couldn't hear a word. I didn't know if anyone was there, because I didn't see anyone. I didn't see an audience. There was no one to look at. And I was just in this like really, really intense high. And I loved speaking. I didn't know I had it in me. And the next morning was when my whole life changed. Now, that night was when my whole life changed. I just didn't know it. The next morning, I woke up and I went from being a kid to being an overnight star, child based Jacob star. And like, think Britney Spears in a long pleated skirt and a button down shirt kind of thing. I'm not exaggerating, I had about 100 bags, garbage bags of clothes from girls that went back to their bunkhouses after that talk and decided that they are changing their life around. They are getting rid of all their not-sneeze clothing. They are breaking up with their boyfriends. They got all their non-Jewish CDs and they broke them all. They broke all their non-Jewish CDs. And because I had mentioned somewhere in the thing, in this talk, that I had mentioned that back in the day when we had the Beit HaMikdash, we would bring up korbanot, we would bring up sacrifices. Now, sacrifices are such a deep concept, but if you think about it, if you learn it from the hashkafik, from the deep, from the pnimius, from the inside, what is the idea of sacrifices? Because whenever a person sacrifices anything, literally sacrificing something can be to bite your lip for a minute and not answer out of anger, and bite your lip for a minute and not say that piece of gossip. Wait another 3 minutes, wait another 2 minutes, just hold up. That holding off, that's the sacrifice. That's sacrificing. Back in the day, we had animals that we would bring up for sacrificing, and the whole exchange that would happen there would have a very, very large spiritual effect on the person that would bring up the korban. That would bring up the korban. The korban, a sacrifice in Hebrew, the three main letters in the name of korban is karov. That when you sacrifice, you get closer. You get closer to who? To God, to yourself. Okay, you get closer to yourself. All the mitzvahs are there for me. For me to become the highest and greatest version of myself. God doesn't need anything from me. By definition, God does not need anything from you. Nothing. He doesn't need anything. He doesn't have any needs. The whole reason why there are the mitzvahs and there is the Torah is for you, is for me. It's for me to be able to learn how to, what I call, train my dragon. We got to train our dragons. We each have a dragon inside of us. And that dragon needs to be trained, needs to be curbed. You know, I do a lot of life coaching, and I also do a lot of, I coach people on how to eat and what to eat. And a lot of people are very, very extreme. Like they either do an all or nothing kind of thing. Either they're only fruits and vegetables or they're just donuts and ice cream. Like, it's very hard for them to be able to say, I'm going to have, and I have this concept that I teach, it's called 80-20. 80-20, 80% of your day, you're eating well, you're having your shakes, you're eating your fruits, your vegetables, your grains, you're drinking your water, you're taking your supplements. That's 80% of your day. 20, when I say 80-20, 20% is that yummy soup that just hits you. And just right where the soup that your mother made, even if it has a little cream in it, or even if it's a little bit of sugar in it. But it's what's that word I'm looking for? It's wholesome. There's something about it it's for the soul. It's like chicken soup for the soul kind of thing, right? There's that bite of that slice of pizza, or a few scoops of ice cream. It's okay. It's not the end of the world, right? Because we have to learn how to think real, not ideal. You got to learn how to think real, not ideal. Ideal makes us end up giving up very, very quickly. Think real. 80% of your day, take care of yourself, take care of your body, feel better. And 20%, you can do other things. You can mix it in. Make sure it's 80-20, not the other way around. So they all deliver these bags of clothing to my porch door, and I wake up in the morning, and I step outside onto my bunkhouse. And I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what's going on. There's just bags and bags of black garbage bags, all these people's clothes, broken CDs, letters. All these girls are standing around. Everyone wants to just talk to me. And I don't know what they want to talk to me about. I don't know why they're coming to me. There's these principals, there's these, madrichot here, the counselors and the head counselors, and all of these very wise religious people that have been religious their whole life. And these girls are religious and they have been religious their whole life. And I don't know why they're coming to me. I don't know anything. By the end of that summer, I go home and I start getting phone calls from every school across the states. Every school across the states is calling me, wanting to fly me in to say over my life story. I'm 14. I don't know what they want from me. I'm having ice cream with my friends in the park. I don't know what do you mean. What do you mean when you say fly? get on an airplane? Like, to you, you're gonna what? You're gonna pay me? That's how much you're gonna pay me? I'm coming, right? And overnight, I went from a kid, a student, to basically a high school dropout, flying around the States and Europe, speaking in all of these schools, saying over my life story, inspiring so many girls that were taking to me like flies or like bees, and I didn't know what was going on, but I thought I was strong enough to handle it, and I thought I was big enough to take it, and I kept going and going. And when all my friends were going to the pool, I said, no, I'm gonna just stay here. And when they were all going bowling, and I said, no, I have to talk to this and this and this and this and this and this and this person. And when they were all, eating ice cream in the park, I was speaking in Washington, and that was the end of high school. I went to Israel for a year for seminary. I stayed another year, Shana Bet. I came back to the States, and I started teaching in different schools and different organizations. And after about 2 years of being in New York again, I said, I can't do here. I can't do America anymore. I'm done with America. I need to get out of here. I need to go back to Israel. I tasted Israel for 2 years during those 2 years of seminary and Shana Bet, and those were like, it was like, wow. I finally see that, like, when you have a part of yourself that you don't know how to identify in a country that's not really where you come from, and all of a sudden you go back to a place where, even though I was so American and I spoke the language and I was ready, so fluent in all of it, something so familiar about being in Israel, something so homey, something so real, and I loved it and I missed it. And after 2 years, I got a phone call from a halfway house in Jerusalem, and they asked me to come and be a madricha there for girls that went off the deep end. Basically, they went off the deep end. They are doing bad things. They're on the streets, and there's a whole halfway house in the city of Jerusalem, in the center there, and they they like me to come and be a madricha. So I got on a plane and I moved to Israel, and I made Aliyah by myself when I was 22 years old and 23 years old, and it was amazing. I was teaching and I was working and I was speaking and I was doing all of these amazing things, and it was time to get married. And I was 26 years old, and I had gone out with over 100 guys. But like literally the kind of thing that was like, if his eyebrow was like pointed in the wrong direction, he was a no. Okay? No, 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 no. I was just spitting out no's wherever I went. I wanted to get to my man. I had a very clear vision of what I wanted, and so I thought. And I was 26 years old, and I met him, and it was amazing. It was Romeo and Juliet. And we got married 3 months later in the old city, right on top of David HaMelech's kever, right on top of King David's tombstone there, I guess, right around there. And it was really an incredible ceremony, and it was an amazing experience. 2 months later, I found out that I'm pregnant. Very excited. I'm 27 years old. I'm so excited to be a mom. I've been waiting for this forever. I went out with so many guys. I was so ready. I'm going to be a mom. I can't believe I'm going to be a mom. Everything I went through, all of that, all those trials and tribulations and hardships that I went through as a kid, I didn't really get into those so much here right now. I like to skip over those because those are hard moments, but those are important to talk about also, because anytime you're in a process and you're becoming your better self, and as long as you're alive, you know what it says. It says, as long as we have our breath in our lungs, we are able to change. We are able to make things happen. We must change and make things happen, because that's what's going to give us our life force. That's where we get our life force from, even though we think we get it from our coffee, but we don't. We get it from changing. We get it from evolving. We get it from peeling, okay, old layers of ourselves. And I just want to mention here that Elul and Rosh Hashanah, it's a time where the time is totally potent. It's full and it's overflowing with newness. That's what it's made. It's all about Chadash, Rosh Hashanah, the head, the new. It's all new. It's all itchachut. It's all beginning. It's all the beginning. Now, what happens in the beginning, just like a pregnancy? In the beginning, all of it, the whole baby, the whole embryo is in one tiny little, what do they tell you? Oh, your baby is like a little popcorn. And now he's like a blueberry. And now he's like a cantaloupe. And now, right, he's always growing. And he's always, they call him different fruits or vegetables or grains. And then, and that's exactly what happens on Rosh Hashanah. On Rosh Hashanah, whatever you want to happen in your year this year, whatever you desire, ask for it. Ask for it now during Elul Eis Ratzon. It's an Eis Ratzon. It's a time of the year where you just say it. Say it and you're planting seeds. By saying it, by asking for it, by thanking for all the things that you have right now, you are planting seeds in the ground for your new year. And just like in the beginning of your pregnancy, your tummy is flat, you don't feel anything, but there's a baby in there. And there's a baby that has all of its coding already inside, all of its genetic makeup already inside. It's just a matter of moving into a state of fruition, manifesting into what the code is. But the code's been there even when the tummy was flat. No one was able to tell that you were pregnant, right? It's exactly the same thing. Elul is you planting the seeds. When they're going to pop, when they're going to manifest, sometime next year. But plant the seeds now. Plant them now. You're going to have that baby. And whatever you want to give birth to next year, make sure you think about, you ask for, you write down, you pray for. Make sure you do that now, because this is when we do it. This is when it happens. Don't miss it. It's just, it's a window and then it's over. So I get pregnant, and 7 months into my pregnancy, I'm sitting at my job in Binyan Yehuma. I was working as a secretary somewhere, and I get a phone call from the doctor's office. Hi, is this Miss Sisso? Yes, speaking. Hi, this is Janet calling from the doctor's office. I just wanted to tell you that you have it just slipped my mind. Hold on. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I forgot what I have. CMV. Wow. Can't believe that. Okay. You have CMV. I said CM what? She said CMV. CMV. What's CMV? Hold on. Hana, רגע, אני באה לקפה, שנייה. I'm like, what? She says, I can't talk to you right now. I gotta go. Bye. And she hangs up. So what do you do when someone tells you that you have something? You Google it. So I Google it, and CMV is like a really nasty virus that you don't want to get when you're pregnant. CMV is a virus that if you get it at the wrong time during your pregnancy or at any time during your pregnancy, it can very much affect the baby to the point where the baby can be born without vision, blind, with holes in their heart, holes in their brain, and a terrible, terrible life, a short life. So I'm reading this. I'm sitting there in this office, and I'm reading Google, CMV, holes in brain, holes in heart, blind. What? And I leave my job. I take everything with me. I never turn back. And the whole way I am walking, I am running. I am walking so fast, I can't stop walking. I didn't want to get into a bus. I didn't want to get into a cab. I just wanted to walk and walk and walk. And I am fuming at God. Fuming is not even the word. Me? I gave up my childhood for you. I've been speaking while my friends are eating bonbons and watching, I don't know, cartoons. I am speaking. I am running around the world advocating for you, for your Torah, for people to start keeping Shabbat, for loving of mankind, for chesed, for goodness. That's what I've been doing my whole life, sacrificing and sacrificing and sacrificing and sacrificing. And here I am, finally about to get mine, 27 years old. Where's my baby? What's going on? God. 4 hours later, we were sitting across the desk from the expert in Hadassah, Har Tzofim. I'm not going to tell you her name because I have to tell you what she said and how horrible she was. She put me up on the thing. She checks my tummy. She looks at the scan. She says to me and my husband, it's 12 o'clock at night, okay? I had a really bad day, and I'm 7 months pregnant, okay? Your baby has stopped growing. The virus most likely has reached your baby, and therefore your baby has stopped growing. My professional medical opinion, and I am the head of the pediatric unit in Hadassah Har Sofim, my very humble opinion is that you need to terminate your pregnancy immediately. What do you mean terminate? Like, what do you mean terminate? Terminate. I mean, stop the pregnancy. And how would you like me to do that exactly? Well, we inject you with a needle, and a few hours later, we're going to induce you. You're going to have the baby. You're going to go into labor, and the baby will be dead. Is there another option? Can we get another option here, please? Because we don't want dead babies. We don't like that. We don't like that. So she said, listen, if you want another option, it's not here. And my husband says to her, we believe in God. So she says, great. So go to him. Why are you coming to me? Why are you paying me 1,000 shekels for 4 minutes? Go to him. So we said, thank you. And I walked into my bed that night, and I didn't walk out for 3 months, 2.5 months. I was so angry. I can't even tell you. I was angry, hurt. I felt betrayed. I felt everything in the book. Okay, everything in the book, and it was heightened by the hormones rushing through my bloodstreams, and the baby that was no longer growing inside of me. That they were telling me that if I was a smart woman, I would terminate the pregnancy because this baby's going to be so sick, and poor baby, and poor me. Why would I be doing this to myself? When I walked into my room, I just took the prayer book, my sitter, and I put it away, and I said, I won't need this anymore. I'm done. Bye. And I wasn't done, like, stop keeping Shabbos done, but I was done praying. I was for sure done praying. I was so done praying. And if I'm praying and this is what's happening to me, maybe I should stop praying, maybe better things will happen to me then. And so 2.5 months later, I come out of my room and I tell my husband, I want to go get a bracha. Let's go get a bracha from some rabbi. Someone has to say something to me because I'm about to have this baby soon and I need help. So we go to Rav Gamliel Rabinovich, who lives in the Jerusalem. He's a big Mekubal, and he tells us to say certain things together every single night. And then the next day, I go to Rabbi Kanievsky, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky's wife, who was alive then, and I go to Bnei Brak and I sit on the stairs outside of her little tiny, shoveled, decrepit little house, and I'm sitting on the stairs, 7 months pregnant, sobbing. I look like a mess. I look like a truck hit me, okay? And I am just saying Sefer Tehillim. About 4 hours later, her women come out, her helpers come out, and they say, no more, sagur, done. I'm like, what do you mean you're done? Done. Come back another day. I said to them, I am not coming back another day, all right? I'm not coming back another day. I want to see the Rebbe now. I waited outside for 4.5 hours. I finished the entire Sefer Tehillim. I am coming to speak to the Rebbe right now. And don't you mess with me. You hear me? And they were like these sweet little Rebbetzin, Bnei Brak. All they do is pray all day. They were like, okay. I said, great. Thank you so much. And I walk inside and the Rebbetzin sees me. She's in the middle of talking to somebody. I end up getting tossed around to the rooms in their house. I end up going into one room. They tell me that this was the Stipler's room, the rabbi's father, who was giant in Torah. This was his room, and this was his chair. And if you sit on his chair and you ask for whatever you want to ask for, it's a very powerful segula to do that. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I'm in Rav Chaim and Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky's home, on the Stipler's chair, praying, sitting there praying. This is the day after I find out that my baby should be terminated. And then I get pulled out of that room, and somehow there were so many people in such a commotion, I get shoved into the room next door, which was the Rebbetzins and the rabbi's bedroom. And I'm standing in the bedroom, and I'm like, I don't know if I should be here. I feel like this is the wrong thing to do. And I'm sitting there in the bedroom, standing in the bedroom, in the middle of their beds, and all around their beds are crates and crates and crates and crates of fruits and vegetables that they are passing on to poor people. Their bed is, the whole thing is one wooden plank like what you would see in Auschwitz kind of thing, like a wooden plank and a thin, not even, almost non-existent mattress. That's what they sleep on. And their whole room is filled with crates of fruits and vegetables that they're giving the poor people in the community. Anyway, I end up being shoved into the kitchen. I'm in the kitchen, and the Rebbitzin comes in, and she starts cutting up a salad for her husband, and she's telling me that this is the good salad to cut up when your husband is this and your husband is that. And I said, okay, Rebbitzin, this is my story. And I start telling her, and I start crying, and I did so much for God, and I my whole life I dedicated to Him, and I became religious when it was the hardest thing in the world to become religious, and my whole family was going out to shopping malls and pizza stores and Shabbos, and I would sit in my room and have nothing to eat because everything was not kosher in my house, and the only thing I had to wear was a dark pleated uniform skirt that smelled like dirty frogs, and all I did my whole life was dedicate my time and my energy to Hashem. And this is my first baby. I'm 27 years old, and this, I have two options: either have a very, very, very sick baby or kill him. What am I supposed to do? And she walks up to me. I'll never forget this. She walks up to me, and she walks up to very closely, like she walks up to my face, and I just stood up because it was natural for me to stand up, and I stood up there, and she lifted my tummy. Literally, she picked it up, and she said, "Hayeled hazeh yeh bari v'shalem." This baby will be healthy and whole. And I said, Amen. And she said, I want you now to go to my son's house, Rav Chaim's son. And they took the esrogim that they used to do, they used to make the bracha on Sukkot. And her husband, Rav Chaim, and her son, they would say a lot of blessings on the mitzvah of Lulav and Esrog. And it was a segula afterwards to take the esrog and to make jam out of it, and then to give it to women that were giving birth. And so she told me to go to his house and get that jam. I went to Rav Chaim's son's house and I got the jam, and I put it in my freezer, and I said, okay, this is for when I'm delivering my baby. It was D-Day. It was D-Day. I was there in the delivery room, and we forgot the jam. Darn it, we forgot the jam. Rav Chaim Kanievsky's jam. No. So the neighbor, she climbed over the fence into the house. She took the jam out of the freezer. She put it in a cap. She drove it over to Shaarei Tzedek Hospital, and I got the jam. So I'm eating the jam, and I start pushing. And before I know it, things start to get a little complicated, and the lady, the nurse, the doctor, the midwife, she's not talking to me anymore. I'm like, what, this, that, and she's not even answering me. And all of a sudden she pulls out something that I think looks like the placenta. It's black, and it's puffy, and I don't know what I'm looking at. And she's like, congratulations, you have a baby boy. And my baby came out black, and I'm not black. And it was hard, and took him away right away. They took him away, and they brought him back a few hours later, and they said to me, we ran some urine tests, and your baby does have CMV. Your baby was affected by the virus. There was a small percentage that the baby would not be affected by the virus, but the baby was affected by the virus, and the baby was going to be very sick. And now they were telling me, okay, before you leave the hospital, they gave me a stack of papers this thick. This is the tests that we have to run on your baby. He needs to have a brain scan every week. He needs to have a vision test also every 2 weeks, hearing test every week, a heart exam. Okay, so those are 4 exams in a week, 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. Go back with him. We do the scans. Everything is fine now, but they keep telling me, and they keep making it very clear to me, the doctors, your baby has CMV. Okay? That means that your baby is very sick. That means that you have to keep coming back because it's going to happen. Right now, he's okay. But soon he's going to start getting very sick. And I said, okay. Charge my phone, sorry. I said, okay, and I was coming back every week. Every week I was coming back, and every week they would tell me, he's not sick yet, but he's going to be sick soon. I said, okay, when's this soon sickness happening? Because it's not happening. And a month goes by, and 2 months go by, and 3 months go by, and every time I go back there, they're like, he's okay, good, he's good now, he's still good, but soon. Right? And they're kind of preparing me for something that's not happening. And I see that my child is well. He's well, he's meeting all the milestones, he's doing everything on time, he's happy, he's great. Baruch Hashem, today, Elisha is 9.5 years old. He is in 4th grade. He is loving life, and an amazing, 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 amazing child, an amazing boy, an amazing human. After Elisha, I had another baby, Yishai, and we also have a crazy story with him, but we have to skip it for now because it's getting late. And after that, I moved back to the States. I moved back to the States with my husband, my 2 kids. Really, what I was telling the world was because there were better job opportunities there for us at the time, and I was being offered different jobs and different things, and it was time to move back. But really, really, behind the scenes, behind closed doors, I was moving back because I was very, 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 very unhappily married, and it was taking a toll on every part of my life, and I needed to be close to my family. A year and a half in to living in the States, living in New York, we get divorced, and I am on my own with 2 babies. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they're both in diapers. And I find myself back in my parents' house, back there in the hood in Canarsie. I'm back in my room, now only with my 2 children, my 2 babies, divorced, and broke, completely broke. I'm living in my parents' house. My parents are not religious. None of the things are kosher. There's no Shabbat observance. I have 2 babies. Did I mention that I have 2 babies? And I have to figure out a way to feed them, and I have to figure out a way to put my life back together. And for the first 3 months, I'll be honest, I don't remember the first 3 months very well. All I remember was that I couldn't stop crying, and that whenever I would walk into the bathroom in the morning, in the afternoon, I just couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I couldn't look up into the mirror because I didn't like myself. I couldn't believe that this is what happened to my life. My life. Remember, I was like this star. I was flying around the country every Monday and Thursday. I was in a different city. I was being catered to. I was being put up in hotels. I went to Israel. I worked with girls that were on the streets. I was peeling them out of bars and out of clubs and off the streets, out of their own vomit. I went to teach in big schools and big organizations. I was helping. I was having hundreds of people in my house for Shabbat meals every week. I would have birthright groups and different people in my house for Shabbat meals. I lived in Rechavia. I had a beautiful house. I beat this whole kid that was supposed to be terminated thing, which, wow, what a miraculous story. I went around the world speaking about this miraculous story. And all of a sudden, I'm in an apartment in Canarsie, in a place where I grew up and I hated, okay? Not a Jewish soul around, not a Jewish store around, with 2 babies, divorced, mortified that the world is going to find out that I'm divorced, okay? Mortified because everyone knows me, right? And now what? How did this happen? I'm such a fake. I'm such a fraud. I thought all those years that I was doing something and I was becoming something. I'm not anything. If this is where my life can end up, if this is how my life can end up, I really suck at this thing called life. Everybody else has it together, not me. If this is how I can end up, my kids are on the bed and I'm sleeping on the floor. I don't know where to buy. I don't even want to tell my family. I don't even want to tell them that I don't have money for formula. And from that biggest darkness in my life, and this is what I was referring to in the beginning when I was talking about following the patterns, from that biggest darkness in my life, something crazy happened. I was in this depressive state, crying, feeling bad for myself, crying, angry, depressed, angry at my ex-husband, angry at the lawyers, angry at everything, angry at the contract, everything. I was just in so much pain. And one morning I woke up and I said, it's either, there's a saying that goes, when the pain of change, when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, that's when you change. Like staying the same, being that same Devorah was so not in congruency with who I am, with who I want to feel. I don't know about you, but I want to feel alive. I want to feel happy every day. I know that there are some bumps and I know that there are some hiccups, but even with the hiccups and in the bumps, I want to be able to manage them. I want to be able to do this right, this life right. I want to be able to get the most out of it. I want to be able to have fun. I want to be able to have friends. I want to be able to do big things and make a dent on this planet before I leave. I want to have a lot of people, God willing, that have been touched and affected by me and my life in this world during my lifetime. I want, that's what I want. I don't want to just live a mediocre life where I'm just getting by and surviving like a sloth. I don't want that kind of life. I want a full life. And here I was, so sick and tired of being in my skin, so sick and tired of feeling so empty and so lost and so hopeless and so unlovable, so sick and tired of like not being able to look at myself in the mirror, so sick and tired of feeling like crud, so sick and tired of it. And I said, okay, so now what? Listen, I've been learning Torah my whole life. I've been teaching Torah my whole life. This is where it's supposed to come in and save the day. This is where I'm supposed to have the tools and the information under my belt to know what to do now, right? When you get to like really bad situations in your life, a man of faith, he knows what to do, that kind of thing. I was a man of faith, but I had no idea what to do. And I realized that I had no idea what faith was. I was like, wait, what is emunah? I knew that I had to do something with emunah. I knew that my healing was going to come from something to do with emunah. I used to throw around that word. I used to teach about it. I used to sing about the emunah songs, okay? But I didn't really know the first thing about emunah. And I started researching and listening to different classes and different things, and nothing. I didn't like anything. I didn't want anything. Nothing hit the spot. I needed something to heal me. Don't talk to me about seeing the good and all of that. I'm talking to you like Mayday, 911, we're crashing. Like I need help, like that. And I came across something amazing. I came across a Rav in Eretz Yisrael who talks about the law of attraction based on Kabbalah. And talks about how your thinking creates your reality. And all of a sudden I started learning and writing notes, taking tons and tons of notes. And this was bringing me back to life. What was bringing me back to life? The understanding that life isn't happening to me. I'm getting punished because of my bad mistakes. Or Hashem, I deserve to have everything good because I did all these good things. All of a sudden I started realizing that I am co-creator in my life. I started realizing the thoughts that I'm thinking, the anger that I'm experiencing, it's having a direct effect on my day-to-day living. If I were just simple, it sounded like it was simple in the beginning, simple, just like, take out the bad thought, the angry thought, the negative thought, and replace it with a thought that's a good thought, a thought that I want and not a thought that I don't want, as opposed to saying I'm broke. Instead of saying that all the time, maybe I should start thinking about what it feels like to have abundance in my life, what it feels like to have love in my life. Maybe I should start putting the focus, because I started realizing and learning from our sources, from our ancient texts and sources, that your thoughts manifest the reality that you're living. So if you're feeling like, everyone's against you and nobody's fair and this one's cheating you and this one's stealing from you and you can't trust this one and why didn't he invite you and all of these things, you got to take a good look in the mirror. Because if that's what life is showing you, you got to know that is the lenses that you're looking at life. Your mind is everything. So I said, okay, if my mind is everything, I'm going to start investing energy and effort into my mind. And that's what I did. And I started changing my thoughts. And my friends, about 4 or 5 weeks later, I was in a whole different mood. I was in a whole different place. I started teaching again. I started leaving the house again, and I started putting on makeup again, which is a very big deal, by the way. And I started living my life again, and I had so much to give. And I realized so much in my mind that all these years, I was learning Torah, I was keeping Shabbos, I was teaching it, but I was so clueless as to the power that I have inside, the power that is in my mind. This mind of ours literally it is the steering wheel of where we are going with our life. It's the steering wheel. And if you're thinking dark, negative, harsh thoughts, worried, concerned, scared, watching the news 24/7, oh my God, what's going to be this world? If you're there, guess what? Will come up for you, like Eov says, that which I fear, I attract. That which I fear, I attract. They say worry, you say faith. They say be careful, virus, death, doom, destruction. You say love, courage, connection, with the mask on, but love, courage, connection. You say Hashem Echad. He knows what he's doing. He knows where he's guiding us. He's clearly taking us in the direction of Geula. It's happening in a very, very confusing kind of way, but since when have we ever had a clear read on reality? We don't even have a clear read on our day, let alone reality. So what I want to end off with right now is just to encourage you to remember that you are a co-creator in the creation of your life. And as long as you are alive and kicking, you are able to do and fix and give and breathe new life into your days by just working on your thinking and asking and being grateful during this time of year. And that it's such a privilege for me to speak to you during this time of year. When have we ever been in an Elul like this? When have we ever moved into a time of a Tishrei like this, where everything is so unsettling and everything is so unsure? Nobody's sure of anything anymore. My kids are not in school anymore. That's it. They let them out. They had school for a week after an entire summer, and now they're back home because we're in a red zone apparently right now. So now everything is so, I thought I had a whole plan for this week. All my plans went out the door. I bribed my kids to get into bed before this class. You don't even understand how much I owe them right now. I owe them a lot of money, things. I said, please, I'm speaking for a community. You have to get into bed. It was really hard. So the point is, and this is what I want to end off with. Struggles in our life, they come to mold us into ourselves. We don't know who we are. We don't want pain. We don't want struggle. We don't want darkness. We don't want any of it. And we shouldn't want it. We're not supposed to want it. But you got to know that when it happens to you and when it comes into your life and when hardships come into your life and difficulties happen and relationships don't work out and people are hurtful and body hurts and mind is aching and things are dark, you have to know, you got to know two things. Number one, you are never, ever alone. Ever alone. Hashem knows, sees, is a witness to everything that you are experiencing and going through. Everything. And you also have to know another thing, which is really, really important and really, really powerful, and we all have to know this and realize this, is that pain doesn't equal bad. Darkness and hardship is part of the human experience. And if you have it, you're alive. And you have to know that going through it is going through a peeling process. You are peeling an old version of yourself and being reborn in some weird way. That's what's happening to you. And to keep a conversation, an internal dialogue inside your mind of, I am okay. Everything is working out for me. Everything will be okay. I am not a bad person. I am a good person that made mistakes. I am a good person that didn't see clearly in the moment. I am a good person that wants to be better and wants to grow and wants to, that's why I'm on all these calls and in all these Zooms and listening for so many hours and trying to stay awake and all of that. That's why I'm here, because I want to be better, because I want to be closer, because I want to be more connected, because I want to be the better version of myself. Yes, I screw up, but I want better. That's who you are. Be your own best friend. Be kind to yourself. When you are going through a hard time, be kind to yourself. When you are in darkness, be kind to yourself. And know that you're not alone. And remember that this is growing pains. It's growing pains. And from everything that I went through in my life, I obviously didn't tell you a lot about my experience. I got divorced 5.5 years ago, and a lot has happened. I went through many more things, and I'm sharing here right now. But I have to say that in all of it, Hashem, I always brought him into the picture, and he's always been in the picture. And that's what matters. I always made sure that no matter what, even when I was in a fight with him, even back then when I was so upset at him, it was him that was the main, the main character in the story. I know you're involved in this. I know you're behind this. Speak to him. Have an open dialogue all the time. David Melch says, V'ani tefillah. As David Melch says, I pray so much, King David. I pray so much. I have become a piece of prayer. I am prayer. My being is prayer. My breath is prayer. When you understand that prayer is everything, when you understand that prayer opens the keys to everything, when you understand that prayer is your way of releasing and letting out and opening and talking, and it doesn't have to be through a prayer book. It can also be to go into a room by yourself, into your backyard, or into the forest, or into the woods, okay? And just be careful and open your heart, and just open your heart. Open your heart and talk from your own words and your own language, how you feel. Rabbi Nachman says do it for an hour a day. The Rambam says do it for 2 hours a day. I say start with 15 minutes a day. If you could do 15 minutes, you're on your way to greatness. It's called Hisbodedus, and it's one of the most powerful tools we have, which is just deep in conversation with God. And it can start off with, hi, I don't know what to say, but I'm here. Put the words in my mouth because I don't even know what to say. How long does it take to ask for like life and prosperity? Like 35 seconds, and then what? Things come out when you give yourself time and space to talk. Things come out. So I give us all a blessing that this year should be the year when we're all together dancing right outside of the base of Mikdash, when we are connected, when we are loving, when all of the walls and all the separations and all the exterior stuff comes melting down and we see each other for who you are. I'm able to see your heart, and I'm able to see your soul. I'm able to see the goodness in you. I'm able to connect to that, and I'm not distracted by all the external things, the money and the name and the looks and the car and the attitude or whatever it is. I see, and we're connected. This year should be the year where God takes us and himself out of this painful galus, and we will reunite for real together with connection and love and just clarity, so much clarity, and out of pain and into happiness. God willing, this is our year. It should be a year of sweetness and goodness and health and happiness. And remember that there could be a lot to be afraid of and to be worried about. But it's up to you if you're going to be the consumer of that. You can be careful and stay safe and not have to consume yourself with worry and consume yourself with fear, because that is what creates what to be worried about and what to be fearful about. It's the consumption of it that brings it into our lives. Take it out of your mind. Rabbi Nachman says if you don't want to deal with the bad thoughts, you're not strong enough to deal with them. They're like demons. You're not strong enough to deal with them. Change the subject. All right? So with that, I wish you a Shana Tova U'Metuka, and please feel free to be in touch with me. The stuff that I was writing and the stuff that changed my life, the reality that happened to me, I turned it into a 6-part course. It's called Breakthrough. I give it over Zoom, and I also have a recording of it. It's a very, very amazing classes, 6-part course on the law of attraction based on Kabbalah and on Torah, and it's really, really powerful. So if you'd like to hear more about it, you can visit my YouTube channel, my Facebook. My website is under construction right now, but till then, Devorah Sisso, and I look forward to chatting with you if you want. Thank you so much. And thank you to Rabbi Lawrence. Thank you so much.
Well, Devorah, it's after midnight in Israel, and your energy has been just overflowing and has given us a lot of strength. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. We've all been that embarrassed school kid, and we've all had that question of, am I equal to the task? We've felt the imposter syndrome. We've wondered where Hashem is when it has been difficult. I wish you every health and strength with your family into the new year. And I hope that the blessings that you have shared with us and the insight that you have given us is going to help us in the year ahead as well. So,
amen, amen, amen. Wow, it was worth it for that. It was all worth it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Everybody have a great evening.
Take care. Have a good night.